Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Business Class. It's your boy Zo Pronto here, and thank y'all for tuning in. Before we get started, make sure you click that like button, hit the subscribe, and check us out at newagendanow.com for more content and more information. So let's jump right into it. So we all have heard the Fat Joe saying, yesterday's price is not today's price, and that's an actual real term that can be defined. And we're talking about inflation. So if you've been paying attention to the news, interest rates, and feels like everything is more expensive when you go to the store, that's the impact of inflation. So as of right now, the inflation has reached a 31-year high in October. Your cash today, if you have it sitting in the bank, is yielding a negative 6.2%. So that's meaning if you put $100 in last year and you're going back for that same $100, it's only worth $94 if you're trying to purchase stuff from the store. So this inflation hopefully will get better as the feds try to come to some kind of terms with the interest rates. However, it potentially can get worse as we end off this year 2021. So the CPI, also known as the Consumer Price Index, which allows us to measure what customers will pay for goods and services, has hit a high in October and is around the same amount here in November as well. It reached a percentage of 6.2% for the annual rate, and this compared to 5.4% in the previous month of September. So inflation has topped 5% for the fifth straight month consecutively this year. So when we look at inflation across the board, we can see how the annual prices of everything has increased. So let's break it down into these 7 different sectors. So when we look at meat, poultry, and eggs, for example, the price of these have increased almost 12% over the last year. Let's look at tobacco. That's increased 8.5%. Electricity, 6.5%. Car maintenance, that's you taking your car for repairs, that's over 5%. Dining out, over 5%. Hospital services, 4%. And housing at 3.5%. So with that being said, I know we've all over the past year have really realized how our dollars is not the same, and as of right now, especially since COVID, the prices of things have gone up. So the rise in prices will eventually start to eat into our family budgets if it hasn't hit you already negatively. So this will allow the inflation to wipe out the wages that we've seen increase over the past year. So a lot of jobs are now offering more money for some of these positions. However, that is being offset by the rising cost of inflation. So for example, if you were paid $20 per hour, then got a raise to $22 per hour, that's a 10% increase. But if the price of goods increased to 7%, which basically we could hit by the end of the year, that's basically only saying you only received an equivalent of a 3% raise when it's all said and done. So in broader terms, you have to reevaluate the price points when it comes to budgeting, saving for retirement, emergency funds, and your kids' future. So what will drive inflation higher over the next couple months? This is going to be the Producer Price Index. So this is basically the cost that it takes to make or produce a certain type of good. So if it's costing a company such as Walmart more money to produce something, you can expect the customer to start feeling some of those negative effects when it comes to the prices. So the PPI has rose to 8.6% just from over a year ago. So basically, that PPI, if it doesn't slow down, and also if you add in the supply chain issue that's been ongoing, we're going to still be getting hit hard when we go to the store. So many of the higher costs that the businesses are facing have not yet been reflected in the inflation figures, but we can expect to see that change going into 2022. Also, we've seen an increase in rise in wages. So the amount of money that people are getting paid is hopefully will offset inflation. However, if the companies are going to have to pay these people more, then potentially we still may see that affect the price of goods and services as well. When we look at housing and rent is also at an all-time high, so that may cause inflation to increase as well. So some inflation expectations are very important. Basically, if companies are expecting inflation to increase, potentially as they kind of prepare and get their fiscal budgets in place, they're going to be prepping to increase the cost of those goods and services also. So that is why inflation is so important. So what can we do to offset inflation? As I mentioned, one, we want to make sure that we're budgeting correctly. And if you are a person that's working or have a business, you want to take advantage of as many possible ways you can to increase the return on your money. So if you're working for a company and they offer a 401k, for example, make sure that you could put in the max amount that you can, especially if they're matching. A lot of times annually, this will grow well over 5%. And this will protect you from the inflation that's approaching 7% as we speak today. Also, if you're sitting on large amounts of cash in the bank, you're actually losing 6% annually as of right now. So you want to put those in solid investments. If those solid investments are going to be good company stocks, it could be in your S&P 500, it could be in protecting your financials some kind of way. It could be in solid investments. Also, you could have a certain amount of commodities to offset that inflation as well. But also what I personally like to use is real assets. I like to see something that I can feel. I like to see something that I can touch. So if you're going to put it in land, for example, if you're going to buy an investment property, or you could buy in your own property, you can use that money to improve your own property. And just depending on where your house is located, a lot of time that improvements that you're putting in your own home can allow the value of your home to skyrocket as well. So sometimes I tell people, if you're looking at your house and you're thinking of, hey, I want to redo this bathroom, even though that's going to cost you in the long term, that upgrade or modification to your home, a lot of time you will reap those benefits a couple years down the line. If you ever go to refinance, you ever need money out like a HELOC, or you get in a jam and you need to sell your home, you'll be allowed to get that top dollar. So thank y'all for tuning in. Leave a comment, make sure you subscribe, and let us know what y'all think about the inflation, how you've been affected by inflation, and any other upcoming topics that you think we should discuss. Thanks.